Well, hello everyone. Peter Dennis here. Today it's my pleasure to welcome Alexina Graham. Alexina's been channeling now for about a year and a half, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And today we're going to find out a little about Alexina and the beings that she channels. So, Alex, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Who have you been channeling these days?
I have to say, I channel probably any being of divine higher love. They literally just come through when they want. Sometimes they don't always want to give their names. Recently, it's been a lot of my clients, like their higher self comes through. And then at times it's been Jesus, and other times it's been archangels. I also have a mediumship side that comes through. And I don't call myself a medium because I'm not, but they come through if they're already guides for that person on the other side to help them through trials and tribulations of life.
Good, good indeed. Well, I think as I was saying to you before, a lot of people think that channelers are a particular breed of person. And I'm trying to get across that with the channelers I work with, they seem to come from all walks of life. But could you shed a little light on your background, perhaps where you grew up, schooling you might have done, how you earn your living, things like that?
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect this, and it's not like I asked for it. I never read books about it, or I didn't know anything about it really. I knew there was mediums, but that's all I knew. I didn't know there was channelers or Akashic record readers or any of that. And then it made itself known to me about 3 years ago properly. It was first my grandfather who came through with messages, and I felt him, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's that? But it was so real. And I then realized as I was starting to meditate more where it started. It started when I was a child, but I had no idea. Like I had imaginary friends, but I really thought they were real. And then I would ask a lot of questions about, I think I was like 6, and I would ask questions about death and what happens after we die. Do we just float around in black sky? Do we see anything? I would ask questions all the time. And then I kind of went on from 18 to 28, like a 10-year autopilot of a human life. I was at the top of my career. I am still a fashion model. And I became, a L'Oreal spokesperson. I became a Victoria's Secret model. And I was like at the height of my career, but I wasn't happy. And I was trying to understand why I wasn't happy. And then mental health affected me. And I had PTSD from something that happened in my life. And then all of a sudden, I decided I didn't want to be here. And I tried to hurt myself. And from that came a dark night of the soul. And I hit rock bottom. And the only way from there was up. And all of a sudden, channeling started coming. I started meditating a good hour a day, and I was getting visions and colors. And then I picked up a few channeling books that I was drawn to. I was very skeptical. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is real, but we'll see. Because I was feeling and seeing all these energies, it felt amazing. So I was very intrigued about it all. And then one day, about a year later, I was told to go into meditation, and I went in, and it ended up being 3 hours. And I had my big awakening, and I couldn't get out of it. They kept telling me to go back in, go back in. And I was like, okay. And all I can explain it is the next morning I woke up, and it was like I was high on life. I had no inner thoughts. I had no negativity. I was seeing everything like in a movie perspective. So I was just observing everyone. And it lasted for like 10 days. And in those 10 days, the channeling side came through very strong. They started to come into my body. They asked for permission to be inside and talk to people in front of me. And then from there, it just got stronger and stronger the more that I practiced. And so for me, when they come through, if I don't get into meditation, they're very persistent. So for me, my face goes very tingly and numb. My heart has palpitations, and that's when I know someone wants to speak, or has some sort of message. Or even now, when I walk on the street, they'll start showing me things in people's bodies, like if there's an illness or a sadness, and they'll tell me what's going on with them. And then they'll either tell me to tell them, or they'll just say, we're trying to show you different energies and we're working with you in different ways. And that's how it's been, really. And then I met you, Peter, because I wanted to make sure it was all real, and you've worked with so many channelers, and that's what you do to make sure. And then I went from there, and now we're here, and I'm finally coming out to the public. I doubted for a very long time, and I didn't think that I would ever come out and show people this side of me. So yeah, that's me.
I think I led into this by saying I'd like the audience to understand that people come from all walks of life. You know, they're basically just ordinary people, but you're not so ordinary, Alexina.
I am really. Well, yes, I've been in the public eye in a different way for a very long time, for about 17 years. But yeah, it's all changed now, I guess.
I guess when you get down to it, nobody's ordinary.
No, no one at all. And that's what I say to people, like, they always say to me, now, how do you go from fashion to this all of a sudden? I'm like, well, I haven't all of a sudden. It's been for a long time. I just never tapped into it. And I say to people, you have this gift too. You have a gift in some way to speak to spirit, or, you know, your meditations. But it's if we, in a way, take the time to practice. It's like practicing anything. If you want to become a lawyer or you want to go back to school to do something, you have to practice and do it every day. And that's where I got to.
Yeah. Now, it must have made some, or contributed to some major changes in your life. Can you identify any specific things that have changed for you?
Yeah, I have to say the frequency of people. I'm very cautious who I let into my energy field now, and if they affect me or not. And I sage a lot, especially now because they show me on the street a lot of people who maybe have bad energy or need help, or, you know, I'm coming into contact with a lot, and I feel it a lot. But then also, I used to be very egotistic in the money side of things, and that kind of went away. I actually sold all my jewelry that was not serving me, like Rolexes. I got rid of all my handbags that were no longer serving me. They just shifted, and I didn't need that anymore. And yeah, I guess that side of me kind of stepped out a little bit, and it's more my connections to different people, and people who are on the same frequency as me, and people who understand me. A lot of my friends now totally understand who I am, and I'm on board with it. And, you know, it helps for them because they get free channeling readings from me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they probably won't for much longer.
Yeah. And I always say anything to help. And I've noticed a lot has changed the more every day. Like spirit say to me, okay, we're going to give you this today. And like, I've never been able to identify health problems within people. That just started about 2 weeks ago, I would say. And I was in a yoga class, and they showed me a massive red circle around this guy's body. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And they were like, oh, he's going through a heartbreak. And I'm like, oh. And I said, do you want me to say something? They're like, no, we just need to show you now that you're going to be able to start seeing things. And then I started seeing angels, and I could see their smiles on their faces, and I could hear the wings behind someone's back. And yeah, now it's gone to being able to see them, and it's kind of incredible. And I never had that at the beginning. So it's like seeing, feeling, and hearing now, which is amazing. But yeah, it's kind of a journey.
Yeah, quite a journey. Well, I know I could speak with you for a long time here, but let's bring in the beings that you do channel. And I believe it's the collective of higher beings, is it?
Yes.
Well, you go ahead and bring them in, and I'll have a few questions for them.
Okay. Hello, we have been here since your last conversation, and also we have been here for a while, and we are always listening, and we are always open to speaking to those who Alexina comes in front of.
Good. Well, thank you very much for being here. And as you know, we have an audience here who is going to be watching this video. And I think to begin, it would be helpful if you explain just a little about who you are and why it is you're here.
We at the moment are a collective who work through Alexina to help her understand those clients that are in front of her, who we are a mixture of her higher self, of their higher self, and of the collective in general. We all speak with each other and come through Alexina to help whoever is in front of her with things that are happening in the world, world messages, but also things are happening in that person's life in front of her, the client. When she works with clients, they come for her usually because they need healing of some sort. And maybe sometimes that client does not understand what kind of healing they need. We come through to facilitate Alexinas talking to them and understanding what has happened to them in a childhood perspective, but also past life trauma. And we also show the path that they have set for themselves in this life, their blueprint that they came here with. We always say, in a way, there is a psychic ability too, but this psychic ability is the blueprint that they've already set for themselves. We cannot help that client win the lottery. We cannot help that client choose a car. That is a free will choice. But we can show the client the images that they set for themselves and the path they need to stay on their purpose that they set for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, is your nature physical at all, or I get the impression you're probably non-physical, am I correct?
We are non-physical. We have been physical before, but yes, we are non-physical.
Mm-hmm. From your perspective, I guess Alexina is fairly new to working with clients, but do you see her engaging mostly in a healing capacity?
Yes, we give her the opportunities to use many different types of healing. This is also with the Akashic records, with her psychic abilities, with mediumship. It is really whatever the client needs who is in front of her. We also show her the different energies that she can use and understanding who comes through. She will get a higher frequency of energy from a higher being such as Jesus or an archangel, and she will get a feeling of peacefulness and love from the mediumship side. Now, the mediumship side is those loved ones that come through either to help her in her own journey, but also for the person who is sat in front of her and the client, for that person who can show love and show that person who they are by their actions and by their words. And it is usually a client who feels like they may be skeptical of what Alexina does or of what Channelers does. And that loved one who has passed on comes through first to show that this is real and gives them details and understanding of who they are.
That's an interesting approach, and I can imagine very effective, bringing in a relative who has passed or a friend. Yeah, very interesting. Do you see how they say speaking to groups or in some way rather than client at a time, doing things for a large audience, writing books, things of that nature?
Yes, there will be group retreats that will be happening. She will be working with others to help them. It is all in, as we say, destiny. It is coming. But as you know, on a human perspective, it is sometimes hard and you want it now. It takes time to build up. Things and people will be coming her way. There will be retreats happening. There will be books written. There will be stages set. But she is not doing it for as in a human way for herself. It is to help others. She is bringing others on the path with her to help on a wider audience. She is giving details of other channelers, of maybe people who work in sound baths, of people who heal through Reiki. It is all a community she is building to help those put in the public to heal and help themselves and understand their own journeys, and also what gifts they also have and that they can tap into.
Mm-hmm. Well, as the individual clients heal themselves, presumably they're raising their vibration as a result of that and moving forward in their ascension process. So would it be fair to say that from a sort of longer range perspective, you're here to help with the ascension process?
Yes, this is correct.
And from your perspective at this time, this is April 2024, how do you see the ascension process unfolding?
We don't like to give timelines. It is hard for us as time does not exist for us. It is on a human perspective that you are so stuck on timelines and time and when things are happening. It is short. We have said before that this moment that you are in is coming about change. The world is changing. People are changing. People are wanting love and understanding. We expect for 2025 for, yes, something big to happen, a new world to come in. There will be many solar flares and earthly situations that will happen. It will be hard for many people to understand who are on a lower level and do not understand the higher frequencies that are at play. But it is exciting times that are coming. Everybody's timelines are individual, but also you all work together to help one another.
For a particular human who is following a spiritual path and advancing towards ascension, when they see some of the difficulty that those who have not awakened are experiencing, they're going to feel sad. They might even find themselves lowering their own vibration as they get caught up in what's happening to these other people. And I'm wondering what advice you would have for someone who is ascending so that they don't get trapped by all the emotionality and everything of those who are struggling.
It is important to keep grounded within yourself, to do what you love, to do, as you humans say, self-care. It is important, if you are into meditation, to sit with yourself and meditate, to clear out those thoughts. Or maybe you do another form of meditation, which is walking, or we are thinking of a sport that you love. For those that come into your frequency who are on a lower vibration than you, there can be so many times that you help that person where then they do not want to have any more help and understand you. You will find that your frequencies start to divert in different ways. And this is okay. This is both your own path and your own way of doing things. Maybe someone is on a slower ascension than another person, but this person will get there. It may be on a different timeline, or it may be even in a different world. They may pass and come back with new lessons and new ascensions. But it is important to look after your own energy and yourself and understand and follow your tuition and your soul's higher self of what is right for you and what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm. In an interview like this, I normally ask the channel beings if they have a message for humanity, but I can imagine that humanity is splitting, as you described. Some are more, let's say, aggressively on the ascension path, and some are still asleep, mired in a lot of density. How would you respond to that if I were to ask, do you have a message for all of humanity? Or maybe you have two messages, one for each type of human.
There is change coming, and you are all connected as one. You all understand pain and suffering and hurt, but you also all understand happiness and love and new moments that can come out of beautiful birth and a beautiful birth of yourself and how you ascend and heal past traumas in this life. We are all going into a new world no matter what. There is a new world coming. And those who are on a lower frequency will find it very difficult. They will feel resistance all the time. But this resistance is to force them into wanting to change, to following their soul and not their ego. They will get to a point where they want change, they want happiness, and this will start raising them up. It is those who are already on a higher frequency to facilitate those and help those. You will find that more people will come to channelers, will come to readers, will come to psychics, will come to people such as mediums, because they want to know that there's something bigger than what is just happening in the old world. They want to know that there is love coming, that they want to understand how they can raise their happiness. There will be such a sadness that they will want to bring this out, and they've had enough of the mundane things that they do in their life. Mm-hmm. Those who are awoken and who are light workers and who took on the responsibilities to help those know what they have to do. And it is an amazing and exciting journey for those of you who are here to help, because you see the happiness and love that is shown on their face, within their soul, and you see a light switching on within them. They understanding that there is so much more, and this develops them to do the work on themselves, to bring themselves to a place of understanding that, yes, there is more than just the human body. You are actually a soul living within the human experience. You are here to experience Earth. It is a hard world to be on, but you are so ascended that you have chosen to do this. And it is exciting what is happening, and it is exciting what is coming in.
Well, those are wonderful messages for everybody, and I thank you very much for that. But before wrapping up here, any final word you would like to say?
It is important to understand not to be scared. We have heard some people explain that the new frequencies that are happening are scary. They are not. They are just here for change and to help you. There is nothing scary that is going to happen. There is nothing to fear. Everything that is changing and the frequencies that you feel are to put you all on a higher ascension and bring all love to the world. We understand what is happening on a human perspective with the ego and jealousy and upset and money, and why wars are breaking out and hatred is happening in the world. It is sad to say, but this final breaking point is needed for people to understand that they do not want this anymore, that they want to come from love and change. In a sense, a revolt is happening within the world, and this is needed for the new world of love to come in and understanding and helping one another.
Well, thank you for that, and for all your messages today. I think you've given us much to think about, and also you're demonstrating pretty clearly the value that Alexina can bring to her clients. So indeed, thank you very much for being with us today, and many blessings to you.
Thank you.
And Alex, you just come on back your own pace, which is very quick.
Right.
How do you feel?
Good, yeah. It's interesting because I don't expect them to talk about like a lot of world messages before. And it's funny because I've mainly been reading the records a lot, because like when I've had people in front of me, they've been more comfortable with me explaining what I'm seeing in images. Mm-hmm. And I've not done pure channeling like this for a while actually. So it felt good to go back to first person again. Good.
Well, Alexina, if people want to get in touch with you, like to have a session with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I have a website now, which is healyourinnerchild.net. And also my email is healyourinnerchild@yahoo.com.
Okay, I'll put that at the end of this video so everybody can see it visually as well. Mm-hmm. Alexina, thanks very much for being here. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Okay.